Hello everyone, welcome to Legacy IAS. So today we will be dealing with a special type of questions that we see in ratio and proportion, that involves change in ratios. Now there are three ways that they generally give you how the ratios are changing. So that I have divided it into type 1, type 2, type 3. Now in type 1 what happens, both part of the ratio changes equally. For example, there are two numbers such that initially let us say their ratio is 3:1. Then something is added to both of them, and the ratio becomes 2:1. Now what is added here, let us say 14 is added on both the parts. Now whatever was the original numbers, this and this was the original ratio. Now 14 is added to both the parts of the ratio and the new ratio becomes this. Then how you solve it? This is type 1. In this what we are seeing, that change is equal on both sides and in the same direction, correct? Both something is added here in both the parts or something is subtracted from the both of the parts. This is type 1. Then next is when only one part changes, that is in some questions it will be given to you. Let us say initially the ratio of milk and water was 1:3. Initially the ratio was 1:3. Then some milk was added to it. This is milk ratio water. Now some milk is added to this solution and the ratio of milk and water now becomes 1:2. Correct? Now what is changed here? Only one part is getting changed, correct? You are only adding milk to it. Let us say you add 10 liters milk to it. So from 1:3 it becomes 1:2. So here only one part is changing. This is type 2. There you were adding something or subtracting something on both sides, on both parts. Here you are doing it only on one part. So how you deal with it, that we will see. This is type 2. Next is type 3, where both parts change in opposite direction, some such that the sum is constant. For example, let us say A and B have marbles in the ratio 5:7, correct? Or let's say 5:7. Now A and B have marbles in the ratio 5:7. Now A gives some marbles to B. Let's make this 9. 5:9. Now if A and B have marbles in the ratio 5:9, now B gives some marbles to A. And the new ratio of A:B becomes 4:7. Correct? The new ratio becomes 4:7. Now here if you see that both parts are changing, but they are changing in opposite direction because some marbles are being subtracted from B side, that is from the second part something is being subtracted, and in the first part something is being added because this is transfer from B to A, correct? So A is gaining something, this part is gaining something and this part is losing something, correct? So this is not type 1 nor type 2, correct? In type 1 what was happening? Both parts will gain or both parts will lose. In type 2 what was happening? Only one part will gain or one part will lose, other part is as it is. Here what is happening? One part is losing, other part is gaining, correct? Now how you find this? You can find this still in these kind of questions because if you see, marbles are transferred from B to A. That means the total marbles that are here, same will be number of marbles here also. So, number of total marbles will always be same in this case. That is how, this is the clue through which we will find this. So, you understood the three types that we have with respect to ratio questions. You will see that most questions can be dealt in this way. Okay, most PYQs, though they will be big word problems, but if you see them carefully, you will find some pattern like this, and you will be able to solve them within a few seconds if you understand these three types only. Understood? So, in this video, we will be mainly focusing on type 1. Correct? Let us get started. Yeah. So, type 1, what we want? Both parts change equally. Added, something is added or something is subtracted equally from both the parts. Now, observe this. A ratio B. This is the original ratio. Now, let us say something is added to both the parts. Something is added to both the parts. Let us say x is added to both the parts. You can consider it like A has a person 1 has A marbles, person 2 has B marbles. Now, X marbles are given more to both of them. Now, what the ratio will become? Ratio will become A plus X ratio B plus X. Correct? Now, if you subtract, let us say, X from both the sides, then what you will get? You will get A minus X ratio B minus X. Correct? This also you understand. Now, one thing that you would know or you should know is these ratios are not equal. These ratios are not equal. Why these ratios are not equal? For example, this is, let us say, 4:3. Now, something is added here. Let us say 1 and 1 is added here. So, what it becomes? It becomes 5:4. I am assuming these ratios to be having 1 as common factor only. Only 1 is the common factor. So, 1 you add, it becomes 5 and 4. Now, if you see, 4/3 is actually not equal to 5/4. This you do know. Correct? So, A ratio B and A plus X ratio B plus X, these won't be same. A ratio B and A minus X B minus X, this won't be same. So, the ratios are not equal, but something is equal. What is equal in all of them? Can you tell? What is equal in all of them? If you observe carefully, see this. What is the difference between second part and first part, or first part and second part? Let us say, so this minus this gives you what? A minus B. Correct? Now, see this. This will give you A plus X minus B plus X, that is A plus X minus B minus X. So, X and X will cancel out. This also gives you A minus B. Can you see the difference is still the same? That is, even after adding something, even after adding an X, you get the difference to be exactly same. Now, see in this part also, that is when we subtract them, then also if you see, this is A minus X minus B minus X. What you will get? A minus X minus B plus X. X and X again cancelled out. What you get? A minus B. That is, in all the three cases, the difference between the first part and second part is constant. Correct? The difference between first part and second part is constant. And this you also can understand intuitively why it will be constant. Because if let us say this is age, let us say this is my age and this is my sister's age. Correct? Now, this is my age and this is my sister's age. Now, let us say I am 20 years old and she is 30 years old. Now, if I, after 5 years, now difference between our ages is 10 years, correct? She is 10 years elder to me. Now, after 5 years, what will be my age? My age will be 25, her age will be 35, correct? But 5 years is added to everyone's age. That is why here also when I did plus 5 and here also when I did plus 5, the difference here is exactly the same, that is 10 years and 10 years. That is why you are able to say that my younger sister is younger by 5 years to me. That distance or that difference remains constant, correct? Because same thing, every year both of you increase your age by 1 year. So, the difference is always constant, correct? Even though these ratios are not same clearly, this is 2 by 3 and this is 25 by 35, 25 by 35 will be what? 5 by 7. Now 2 by 3 and 5 by 7 is not equal, absolutely not equal, but the difference between them will still be the same. That is, if you take a ratio and you add something or subtract something on both parts of the ratio difference won't change, correct? The ratios will change, but the difference between the parts of ratios won't change. Understood? This is the underlying concepts. Now we will be using it in many questions. Understood? Now let's see some questions. Two numbers are in ratio 3:4 if 10 is subtracted from each, then ratio becomes 1:3. Find the original numbers. Okay, this is the question. Two numbers are in ratio 3:4. So this is, let's say, number 1, this is number 2. What is the original ratio? Original ratio is 3:4. Correct? Now it says 10 is subtracted from both of them. 10 is subtracted from both of them. These are not the exact values, mind you. This is ratio. So 3:4, the numbers may be 6 and 8, the numbers may be 30 and 40, it does not matter. We just know that this is the ratio between the numbers. Now 10 is being subtracted from both of them and the new ratio becomes 1:3. Okay, so this becomes 1:3. Now if this becomes 1:3, now you see here and here, if 10 is subtracted from both of them, 10 is subtracted from both of them, what you know for sure, that the difference between them will be constant. So you first try to make their difference constant. If it is constant, then it's fine. Now what is the difference here? Yeah, so what is the difference here? 3 and 4, the difference is 1. 1 and 3, the difference here is 2. Correct? So the difference is not constant. Now if the difference here is 2, if the difference here is 1, what you can do, you can multiply this whole equation with 2. What you will get? You will get 6 and 8 and the difference will become 2, and that is what you want. Then you can easily solve it. So let's do this. Correct? You can write an equivalent ratio. 3:4 can also be written as 6:8. This is fine. I am just multiplying it with 2. Whatever I got here, I am multiplying this whole ratio with it. So 6:8. You cancel it out till still 3/3:4. But now I take 6:8 as the new ratio or new original ratios between the numbers, and the other becomes 1:3. Correct? Now can you see the difference between them? 6 and 8, difference 2, 1 and 3, difference 2. That is, now it is in the format of our type 1. This we had to do before, not that this is type 1, so you directly do it, because the difference has to be same. That is the whole point of it. So we made the difference same by using equivalent ratios. Once you get these same, now what you can do, you just see this. Now you will see that in type 1 what you will get? You will get this difference to be exactly same. Why? Because it is increased by the same number or decreased by the same number. Like in this it is written 10 is subtracted from both of them. Now what is the difference between them? 5. What is the difference between them? 5. This 5 is in terms of ratio points. This 5 is in terms of ratio points. This is equal. Now, according to the question, this 5 ratio point is equivalent to what? This is equivalent to 10. Correct? It is written 10 is subtracted from each. That means 5 ratio point difference is equivalent to 10. Then it becomes simple. So then you get that 1 ratio point will be equal to 2. If 5 ratio point is 10, then 1 ratio point is 2. If 1 ratio point is 2, then you need to find the numbers. Now, one thing is important, you are asked original numbers. Now, one thing people tend to do is they would take this 1 ratio point is equals to 2 and multiply it with 3 and 4 and get to the answer of 6 and 8. But that won't be correct. Once you have come down here, okay, if this was so good, तो उसी को use कर लेते हैं. Okay, once this is gone, once you have moved on in life, you cannot go back. So this is the ratio now. Forget your past. Forget it. Get here 6 ratio 8. This only helped you to find the answer. So that is why this you will use. Now forget everything that was before. Now, if 1 ratio point is equivalent to 2, then 6 ratio point is equivalent to 6 ratio point will be equivalent to 1 is equals to 2, then 6 is equals to 12. Similarly, 8 ratio points will be equal to 8 into 2, that is 16. So these are the numbers 6, 12 and 16. Not if you take 2, you will get 6 and 8. 6 and 8 are not those numbers. Why it is not those numbers? Because if you subtract 10 from it, you will start getting negatives and the ratio won't be this. Correct? The ratio, you won't get it correct. Like if you subtract 10, you will get minus 4 and minus 2. What ratio you got? You got ratio, if you just don't consider minus, you will get ratio 2 ratio 1. But the ratio was 1 ratio 3. So this whole thing is absolutely wrong. So always remember, once you have moved past it, then you don't go back to your x. Just stay in the present. Okay. So this is your ratio from which you need to find, use it, get to the answer. Understood? This is how you do questions in type 1. Let's do one more question. This question is from CAPF 2018. This is also conducted by UPSC. Now, the ratio of ages of a man and his son is 3:1. After 15 years, the age ratio becomes 2:1. What is the age of the man now? Okay, now this is the question from CAPF. You can pause and try. Now, the ratio of ages of man and his son is 3:1. That is man ratio son. This is the present ratio between them, given to be 3:1. Now, after 15 years, the ratio becomes 2:1. Now, later the ratio becomes 2:1. Now, as I told you in that example between you and your sister, that ages always increase or decrease in increase or decrease by the same number. That is, how many years have passed, those many changes will be there on both parts. Correct? So now this is the present ratio, and this is after 15 years. Correct? These are the two ratios. Now the difference has to be constant. Correct? Difference between them has to be constant. Now 3 and 1, the difference is 2. 2 and 1, the difference is 1. Now this is the issue. What we must do? We must multiply this with 2, so that we use an equivalent ratio of 4:2. Now the difference will be, this is the same ratio as 2:1, but now the difference is 2. Here also difference is 2. So now we can solve it. So you write it again. The ratio becomes 3:1 and 4:2. Now the difference is constant, 2 and 2. Now see the difference between them. What is the difference between them? 3 and 4, difference is 1. 1 and 2, difference is 1. Correct? According to the question, how many years have passed? 15 years. So this one becomes equivalent to 15 years. Now if 1 is equivalent to 15 years, what will be 3 equivalent to? So now if 1 ratio point is equivalent to 15 years, then 3 ratio point, which is the age of the man right now. Correct? This is the age of the man right now, man and son. So man's age right now is 3 ratio point. So this will be 3 into 15, which is equal to 45 years. Understood? So this will be the age of the man. You don't need to write any equations, nothing. Just using ratios you can get to this answer. The thing is, with ages, it will always, the difference between them, that is the difference between the age of father and son, that is the difference between age of your father and you, is always constant. So you try to make it constant, then you equate it simply and get to the answer. Understood? That is it in type 1. In next lecture, we will see type 2 and then type 3. Okay, that's it for this. Thank you.